Welcome, NBA bettors from around the globe to the Tuesday edition of the Release Show. I'm your host, John Metler, and I'm joined from EV Analytics by Adam Scherher. Adam, how's it going today?
Going pretty well. Plenty of games on the slate. Have a few props that look pretty good.
Yeah, I know producer Dell's very excited because LeBron James is in Toronto tonight and he's going to the game. So we're hoping LeBron James plays for producer Dell. Before we get rolling here, a couple housekeeping things. Producer Dell would also be very happy if everyone would subscribe to the show, drop a like button on our channel, drop some comments while we're giving out the bets and stuff. Let us know what bets you've got. Let us know what number you have. Kind of help us out navigate the market here. It is very fluid that we're trying to work through things here. So if you see a better price than the one we're giving out, let us know because then everyone benefits from that. Another thing too, I started this last show. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to get a map. I'm going to put it in my room here. I want to put pins of where people are watching from. So let me know where you're watching the show from. I know we had Brazil last time and Serbia. I don't know, maybe a little Iowa, Yukon people watching. Anyone watching from Iowa and Yukon today? Let us know where you're watching from. That's something I personally want to do. So how this works, if you've never watched the Release Show, Adam's going to give us 3 NBA props today. These are from projections from EV Analytics that they're putting, he's using against the market numbers and stuff. These projections are on the Covers website. If you go to sports, NBA prop projections, all those numbers, you'll see all these props, all these projections. Those numbers are from EV Analytics. Adam's just here to help us provide a lot more context to those numbers, right? Those are just numbers on the website. Adam has explanations for those numbers, which really help you out too. So what we'll do is we'll say what game we're betting on, give you a second to navigate the sportsbook, log in. We'll tell you the game, we'll tell you the prop, then we'll tell you the player, then we'll tell you the bet. And then Adam will give us a breakdown of why he likes that bet. And then we'll move on to the second release and third release. On the season, Adam is 7-5, up 2.5 units roughly there. 1-2. I know Deontay Murray still stayed under on Thursday, even though playing overtime. So that was pretty good.
Yeah.
My buddy, I had a bunch of friends text me. They're like, "Oh my God, it's going on overtime. I have the under on Murray here from the Release Show." I'm like, "Don't worry, he's not passing." If you're watching this game, this guy is shooting every single shot, and he did. So that was pretty awesome. He even went under. He was, 2 assists under. But
yeah, all right, I think I had a bad day overall Thursday, and that was like a small silver lining was when I looked and realized that I somehow still got the Murray under in overtime.
Yeah, Giannis didn't go under for us, but it was still a good number that we got on Giannis. So we'll give out the first release here. We're going to BetMGM for the first release. And the game is Knicks Heat. And then we are looking for the assist market. And the player is Dante DiVincenzo. And we're going over 2.5 assists plus 115 on Dante DiVincenzo. So once again, the bet is BetMGM plus 115 over 2.5 assists on Dante DiVincenzo. This is available at Bet365 too right now at plus 115. These are the 2 sportsbooks that have a plus 115 at the moment. So you can use BetMGM or Bet365. Adam, if you want to give us a breakdown here, why you like Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, so this is, I think, my favorite prop that we're going to talk about on the show. Getting the over on DiVincenzo here, it's just, one, it just feels good getting Knicks overs right now because they're playing so many minutes. Essentially kind of a 7-man rotation. They're playing 8 guys, but Achua, Achua, Burks, Bogdanovic, some combination of those guys are playing 10 minutes a night. You just have so many minutes going to guys like DiVincenzo. Played 40 minutes last game, 44 in regulation the game before, 49, including overtime. 5.6 potential assists per game over his last 5. Again, that's a function of playing time. It's not that he's taken on a new role as some huge facilitator, but he's just out there for so many minutes. So we have him projected for 3.5 assists here. It's plus money, plus 115. So essentially you're just getting really favorable odds on not even a coin flip based on the projection. It's not even like this is the 3.5 line. So that looks really good. Anunoby Randall's still out. So it's not like you have any reason to think that DiVincenzo's minutes are going anywhere in this game. It just looks like a mispricing.
Yeah, I'm totally on board, man. I bet this. I was so happy when I saw this number on Dante DiVincenzo this morning. Same thing. I think as we come down the stretch here, you're kind of concerned about, we don't really know what teams' goals are, what they're going to do with minutes, what they're going to do with their players and stuff. Tom Thibodeau, it's very, very clear what he's going to do with his minutes, with his players, especially a guy like DiVincenzo. Like, this guy has to play. And I know the last couple of games here, he's gone under his assist total, but the potential assists are there. Like, they're really there. So this number's moving into the plus when I don't think it should be. So I'm with you. I absolutely love this bet on DiVincenzo. So the first bet is, first release is Dante DiVincenzo over 2.5 assists plus 115. So let's move on to the second release here. And we're going to FanDuel. And then the game is the Clippers Kings. And we're back in the assist market. Then you're looking for James Harden for assists. And our numbers there, which is great. So we're going James Harden under 8.5 assists plus 114 here at FanDuel. So once again, that's James Harden under 8.5 assists plus 114 at FanDuel. I was looking around. This is pretty exclusive to FanDuel, this number here. They're the only ones giving you this plus money on the 8.5. So Adam, break this one down for us.
Yeah, I mean, this one is, for me, purely projections based. It's very difficult to come up with reasons that, like, you're going to argue for James Harden to go under assists. He's averaging for the season over 13 potential assists per game. Over his last 5, he's at like 15. So it's not a bad matchup. Sacramento, middle of the pack in defensive rating this year, not a slow team. So it's really difficult to come up with like contextual reasons for a James Harden under an assist. But from a math standpoint, he projects for about 8.4 assists. He's plus money. This really is, based on projection, just getting a coin flip and somebody's giving you a little over 1.1 on tails. And if you just continuously hammer that, like, you're not going to win it a huge frequency of the time because it is very close, but the price just makes it worth it. And like you said, this is really the one spot where you can get that price. It has come down also. It opened at 9.5 as a favorite and then came down to 8.5. So always makes me feel a little bit better when you see that, especially on these ones that are very difficult to contextualize. I always get nervous if it's like, oh, the projection says this looks good, but the market's moving against you. There's no real stats that support you outside of the projection. Here you do at least, have the market coming down a little bit more in line with the projection.
Yeah, the market's moving in your favor, which is always a great sign. I know too, when I was going through the assist market this morning, because that's a market I personally live in, I know Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were kind of showing like a slight edge they're over. So that also sometimes is a good indication that, those assists might be pulled away from James Harden in this game. So when you see other players kind of favoring the over, and then James Harden it kind of all pieces together and stuff. And sometimes, maybe we don't have like a complete basketball reason for that, but just from a number side, that's always like, to me, kind of like raises like, oh, that's raising an alarm here. Like, this is a good sign for this bet as well, type thing.
Yeah. I think that's something that kind of goes overlooked when people talk about props in general. You and I were talking a little bit before the show about the next guy, but like there is correlation. And so, like I'll get nervous sometimes if I see that like I like the unders on 4 different guys on a team. It's like, okay, like, is this team just projected poorly? But if I see that I like the unders, under points on player A and I like the over on player B, it's like, okay, well, at least it makes sense like how this could work out.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I totally agree. So the second release is James Harden under 8.5 assists plus 114. So we're going to move on to the third release here, and we're going to DraftKings. And we're looking, the game is San Antonio Spurs, Denver Nuggets. And then we are looking for points and assists, so a combo prop. And the player we're looking for is the rookie of the year, who they should already pay out, Victor Wembanyama. And the bet is Victor Wembanyama under 29.5 points and assists. So it was minus 110 before we jumped on air. It's now minus 115. Again, it's moving in our favor. It's, that's a good thing. So the bet is Victor Wembanyama under 29.5 points and assists, minus 115 at DraftKings. I think this is minus 115. I think 365 FanDuel kind of had that number too. So if you're not in DraftKings, those books also have it. Adam, if you want to break down Wembanyama for us.
Yeah, so this one is a scary one too. Like anytime you're betting unders on Wemby, points and assists, obviously he's very, very good, but projects for 27. So we do have a little bit of a margin there. Certainly can withstand that move from minus 110 to minus 115. And like you said, you do like to see the market moving in your favor. It is a very tough matchup here. And I think that's basically what you're banking on. Bottom 10 pace for the season for the Nuggets, top 10 defensive rating. That's obviously very difficult, and then there's 16-point dogs on top of it. So we've talked about it before. It's not that you're gonna just completely nerf somebody's projection because their team's a big underdog, but you do expect on average a player to play a little bit less in a game where his team is a 16-point underdog than he would in a game where it's a 2-point spread. So that's working in his favor as well. And then one thing that I do think was interesting, and it kind of goes back to what we were just saying as far as correlation goes too. No Devin Vassell for the Spurs. Now, you could see that just result in Wemby has the ball in his hands more, and as a result, more scoring and more assists. But if you look so far at minutes this year where Vassell has been on or off the floor, Wemby's had basically the same usage rate with or without him, right around 32%. His assist percentage has actually dropped from around 21% with Vassell on down to about 18% with Vassell off. It could be a sample size thing. It's not like a massive drop off where something is very clearly going on, but it does make some sense when you think about this team. You take Devin Vassell off the floor, you're losing one of the only quality scorers that you have. And obviously to get assists, you do need guys to put the ball in the basket. So, it could just be a situation where Wemby's not necessarily losing assist opportunities with no Vassell and having the ball more, but he just isn't converting at the same rate. So we have seen that little bit of a drop off. Again, it's not set in stone. It could just sort of even out, but it is nice to at least see a little bit of a drop off as opposed to if you looked at those numbers and see the assist numbers skyrocket without Vassell.
Yeah, that's what he was referencing. We're talking about in the before we came on air here, we're talking about Wembanyama, and we're saying you think maybe usage is up, Jeremy Sohan's out, Devin Vassell's out, but an assist prop is also kind of like a tricky thing where sure my usage goes up, but I also need players who can convert potential assists, and then even just I bet on Jeremy Sohan assists like maybe last week, and a lot of those assists were to Wembanyama for easy layups, easy dunks. If Sohan's not creating for Wembanyama, that also kind of affects his points prop. So it kind of like works both ways. That's what we were talking about before we came on here. So I like this.
Even if you take Sohan off the floor with Vassell, that still only puts Wemby's assist percentage in line with like his overall minutes with Vassell on the floor this year at 21%. So again, it's not like you get some sort of massive no Sohan bump either.
Yeah. What's your watching from Bulgaria? I think Joe Osborne might be a liar with this one. I'm not putting a pin in Bulgaria. What's you said the projection is 27. What's the break even percentage on that for Wembanyama? Do you have that handy?
I will in a second.
Yeah, because at 27, 29 and a half.
It was high. 2-1.
Nice. Yeah. So 2-1 minus 115. That's a pretty big probability gap. So once again, I'll just run through the releases here. So they were Dante DiVincenzo over 2.5 assists plus 115 BetMGM. The second one was James Harden under 8.5 assists plus 114 at FanDuel. And the third release was Victor Wembanyama under 29.5 points and assists minus 115 at DraftKings. We're looking for another sweep. Adam, you got any closing words for us?
I did, but while you were talking, I pulled up the numbers with Vassell and Sohan on 23% assist percentage with both of them on, 21% with both of them off. So you're seeing a very, similar thing where it's a small enough gap where it could just be a sample size thing, but you're not seeing any sort of split with those guys on or off where Wemby suddenly, becomes a massive assist guy.
Nice. Yeah. So in other words, bet Wembanyama on 2.5 points and assists. So those are our three releases. We'll be back Thursday at 10:30 a.m. 10:30 a.m. is our new slot. That should be the slot every single time now. So we will see you guys on Thursday. Let's get a sweep. That concludes the NBA Prop Pick Show powered by EV Analytics. Del, play the song.